Okay, guys, you're here today on the BJJ Fanatics podcast with Gordon, Ryan. Thanks so much for being here, Gordon, Michael. And guys, today we just launched the new instructional video from Gordon. My evolution is your revolution, where he pretty much did the entire instructional video all about his ADCC campaign. That was probably like one of the best ADCC performances of any athlete in the history of the sport. He won the double gold. And how many people ever won the double gold? I think probably like 1, 2, or 3, right?
I think there was like around 5 who won double gold, and only 3 to ever win 2 different weight classes. I know it's only me, Yuri, and Jeff Monson who have won 2 different weight classes, and then there's a couple more who have won double gold over the years.
I got it.
When was the last time someone won double gold? Was it Andre?
Andre, yeah. Andre 2009,
wow.
I believe. Yeah.
So a 10-year break.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And how many matches you did over?
We had 8 matches, 6 submissions, and I took everyone's back besides Buchecha. So 7 matches with back takes and 6 matches with submissions. I
know, and that's really, really cool because like 1 or 2 years ago, everybody would say that all you knew how to do was like heel hooks, leg attacks, and all you're doing is back attacks.
And now I suck at leg locks. Now
you only won 1 match with leg lock in that.
Yeah, first match of the absolute.
Yeah, and how was like your preparation? How was your? What do you think was the key there?
So I mean, to be honest, the camp was pretty bad. I had my leg injury for for the first half of the year, and it's a 12-week camp. And the first 8 weeks of the camp, I was like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to, to compete." I was like, my timing was off. I was getting exhausted. I couldn't like play guard on my right hip because my left leg was so weak. And then like somewhere around 8 weeks into the camp, I like started to feel pretty good. I started to wrestle, and then around 3 weeks left, we were 3 weeks from ADCC, and my wrestling felt good, my jiu-jitsu felt good, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll give it a shot. And then a week before we left, I had that crazy bike accident where I broke my hand, and then 2 days before, I got food poisoning. So I mean, everything that could have went wrong. Besides like me like splitting my head open on the way to the mat.
Actually, it was the night before because you texted me I'm leaving. With you, I don't know. I mean, you could be messing around.
Friday. It was Friday for the weigh-ins.
And actually, so they're announcing every single competitor. They announced every single competitor there, and you're the only one that didn't walk out. Everyone's like, where the hell is he? And you didn't tell anyone what was going on. Even the person announcing it didn't know because they were kind of doing it as a show. Like, here's the person, here are the 16
they
guys
call your name, remember?
at 99 kilograms, and Gordon wasn't there. I'm like, maybe he wasn't kidding around. Like, maybe he really has food poisoning.
Yeah, that was terrible. I was dying. Yeah. I like went home. We got there for the rules meeting, and like 10 minutes before we got there, I was like profusely sweating. I was super nauseous, and I just sat in the bathroom stall for like 30 minutes until my nausea went away. And then I Ubered home, and then I slept for like 18 hours straight. I was like, I was profusely sweating the whole night. And I woke up, and I was like still a little bit nauseous, but the sweating had stopped. And I was like, okay, like time to compete now. And then I was like, at least the first day is going to be easy. And then the first day to the second day, I kind of got a little bit better. And then, we went to the second day, and it is what it is. But
no, that was also. I remember when you hurt your knee, and I was like, man, the ADCC this year would be probably the year that he would won. And now he's out of the ADCC, and now the next ADCC is 2 years later. And you're talking about going to MMA and this and that. I was like, yeah, he might never win the freaking double gold. Yeah,
I made it happen. So it was like I almost missed it, but I just made it. So I'm happy.
Yeah. We're also going to talk about the instruction that I just launched today, but I think like we kind of talk about MMA here, and everybody I talk with, they ask like, man, is he going to MMA? Is that so? Yeah. What's your plan like?
So right now I have these 3 big matches coming up in December. I was supposed to fight Adolfo, so that was the big one. I was doing a lot of sparring and MMA stuff before I hurt my knee, and then I hurt my knee, so I couldn't do anything. And then I was getting for ADCC, and now I have like December 7th, the 13th, and the 22nd. I have like back-to-back matches, so I'm gonna go through those, and then I'm gonna talk to John about what we're gonna do in the New Year's. So we'll see.
Got it. Yeah, and then in the instructional was a very different instructional. Like we had never done any instructional like exactly as you did, like one analysis of what you have done in one tournament. So how was it? Like you broke down every single match with every single technique you use it?
Yeah. So all the main techniques is what we covered. I didn't do any like the boring standing stuff. I just cut all the non-activity out. and then basically it just goes me commentating, and then it cuts to me teaching a technique. So you see, I commentate my way through a back take, and then it cuts to me teaching the back take, and then it goes back to commentary. So yeah, it's going to be good. I think people are really going to like it. It's a good window into what I was thinking during the match, like why I was doing the moves that I was doing versus doing something else. What my game plan was going into the matches, and an in-depth analysis of what was going on. So
guys, I think it's very interesting. I remember like growing up when I was like blue purple belt, I used to watch those black belts compete, and I was always wondering like what are they thinking during the match, right? Because you look then everybody's very calm and that. So I think that's a great opportunity to kind of like go inside your mind and see exactly what you're thinking and what you were doing and why you were doing that, and which technique works best on this moment or on that moment. So that's very, very
it's
cool.
It's also nice to see like I talk about a lot of some mistakes I made, a lot of missed opportunities that I had where watching the tape I said, okay, well, if I would have done this, it would have been better. I did this, it failed. If I would have made this adjustment, it would have worked the right way. So that's a good thing.
And you also talk about what your opponents could have done.
Yeah. So it's what I did and why it worked, and then what they did, what their mistakes were, and why whatever they did failed.
I thought it was cool that you gave a lot of credit where credit was due too.
Yeah.
Like even you're talking about what you were thinking going into the possession match. You talked about a lot of his accomplishments and why you did certain things and why you didn't do certain things. You certainly weren't shy to share some of your opponent's mistakes, as we'll see. But I thought it was just an incredible work. It's also incredibly unique.
Yeah, I think it's the first and only one, really. I mean, it's essentially like
it's different. We never had any instructional like that.
It was a situation where I think we have to thank our friends at Flow. They were they were very collaborative, and you know what? I went in with one mindset about them, and I have another one now. I mean, I'd like to say thank you very much to the people there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we would have made it regardless, but having the Flow footage definitely made it a lot better.
Incredible.
Instead of just doing a reenactment of what happened, to be able to have the footage right here and then move right to my instruction is definitely easier to follow than having to do it without the foot film. So thanks, Flow.
We urge you to support Flow. I am a Flow member. I know you are. Bernardo is too. Being a Flow member, we do it proud.
But today we have going on, like actually soon, like we are about to leave soon to go to the first BJJ Fanatics Black Belt tournament. And Gordon was supposed to compete, but you ended up hurting your ribs, right?
Yeah.
But what are you expecting for the tournament, like?
EBI rules you never really know. You see so many world class guys go into EBI rules and not do well. Like the first like big, I think IBJJF ADCC champion to compete at EBI was Yuri, and he got finished by me at the time, who no one knew who I was. I just got my black belt a month ago, and Yuri was already an ADCC champion. So all the IBJJF guys tend to try to IBJF and the ADCC and the typical points guys try to stay away from that kind of rule set. I feel there's like an unspoken like boycott, I almost feel, against EBI rules with the big guys, like Galbao and Buchecha. None of those guys ever competed at EBI, and I think they saw what happened to good guys, and they're like, I don't want to do that. But you got to give it to the 10th Planet guys. They actually practice the rule set. I was talking about yesterday with the Flow guys. Do I see a guy like Kyle Boehm beating Lucas Barboza in any rule set in the world other than EBI rules? No. But do I see Kyle Boehm beating Lucas Barboza in an EBI rules match?
That could happen.
That could actually happen, yeah. It's great. I think you have a lot of guys who practice the rule set, a lot of guys who are coming off big matches at Worlds or ADCC, and it's going to be a clash of guys who are on one side of the spectrum and then guys who are completely opposite worlds. So it's gonna be great. You have Jason Rao is my toughest training partner. If Jason Rao just shows up and competes like he actually trains in the gym, he should beat everyone pretty easily.
Wow.
You have Kyle Boehm, who just won the last Brown Belt Fanatics tournament, and the king of the mat grappling. So he's on a roll. You have Nicky Rod, obviously, who's been killing everyone, just came off ADCC silver. And then you have Lucas Barboza. I mean, Lucas doesn't really need an introduction. Yeah. He's, he grand slammed in the gi. He won Noogie World's double gold. He took third in his first ADCC. So I mean, it's and then you have guys like coming up like William Tackett, who has been killing everybody in the local scene. You have Keith Krikorian, who's been he was at ADCC this year and wins a lot of local stuff. Cody Steele, who's the combat jiu-jitsu champion. I mean, there's a lot of guys, and they're all super tough.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, we're super excited. We made the first one, the brown belt one, and this is the first black belt one. So it's gonna be amazing to watch.
Yeah, it'll be fun for sure.
Yeah, and Gordon, so now what's next? Like, what are you training for? What's the next super fight?
So right now I have supposed to be Adolfo Vieira on December 7th, but he's out. So now I have Herbo Santos if he shows up, if he can even afford to get here, to be honest. And then I have after that I'm competing against some guy Quintet. He's that UFC heavyweight fighter who Ezekiel Stringles everyone from Bottom Mount. Yeah, so I'm fighting against him, and then competing against Gabriel Gonzaga on the 22nd of December for SCG. So yeah, I got three big boys coming up. So hopefully the ribs are okay by then.
No, but that's something that's very cool that you're doing. Like you just won the ADCC double gold, and instead of hiding yourself, you were throwing yourself.
Yeah,
talk about what did you do the day after ADCC?
I mean, just trained like normal. I mean, I trained and
for how long?
it was a normal class. John ran a class an hour long, and we trained for 40 minutes. And then, I had Paul Harris the next weekend.
I don't think many people are doing that. The day after they win
So talk about how amateur everyone is. Like, this is your job. You're a professional athlete. Show up and train. Like, it doesn't matter if you just won. Doesn't matter. Nothing. That doesn't matter. Like, most people just compete and then they take a month or two off and they go back and train. It's just insane to me. Like, I know some professional black belt world champions who don't even train as much as your normal hobbyist. Like, they just will do a camp for a tournament and they just won't train for 6 months. I'm just like, oh my god, how does it happen? The reason why I win all the time is not an accident. It's I actually show up and I train, and it's not that hard. You just be professional about what you do, and you'll have success.
Like, it's not that complex, but it's hard to show up every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to stay consistent with something over a long amount of time, but I mean it's simple. Like the formula.
But it's also
simple.
clear that you love training every day.
Yeah, of course. The thing with John is too, like, he makes it interesting. There's always something new that you're working on. I mean, if you just show up every day and you just train hard, you're not learning anything new. Of course, it's boring. But if you're constantly working on something and looking to get better, then it's more exciting. You come in and you're like, okay, what am I going to work on today? And then you leave class and you're like, okay, I'm better than this now than I was before I came to class an hour ago.
Oh yeah. I'd also say too, like, I don't know if this works for you, but one of the reasons I love working with John is we've been so successful. You learn so much. I would say the biggest reason I love working with John is because of the crazy stories you get, like, in between. Yeah. Like, do you no? It's not even kidding around.
Interesting too.
Not kidding around. Like, do you look forward to that sort of thing after the training?
John has more stories.
Easily the greatest storyteller.
Yeah, he's a great storyteller, and he has more stories than anyone.
He does not run out.
He was bouncing in the worst clubs in New York for 20 years. He's from New Zealand. I mean, anything you can ask him about.
All the stories are long. There's incredible amounts of detail. Like, he remembers it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
You ask him about like the newest Samsung TV, and he'll give you like a full dissertation about where Samsung came 100%. From, and I'm just like, I don't know. Didn't ask for that, but thank you.
So just wrapping up here about your new video. You break down every single fight. You talk about what you were thinking with every single major exchange, and you show every single successful offensive tactic that you used.
Yeah, and as well as what my opponent's goals were.
Yes.
During the matches, and what I did to beat to achieve my own goals and shut down what my opponent was trying to do.
Because in all fairness, no one scored a single point against you.
Yeah, that's actually a good statistic no one ever talks about, because Gordon Ryan sucks and everyone hates him. But I have 15 wins at ADCC, and out of all of my wins, I've never been scored on. So it's a nice statistic.
That's impressive.
So, and the last thing I'd say, these, I know what the answer is, so I'm going to ask you anyway. Are these moves that normal people can do?
Yeah, I mean, there was one inversion that I did, like a tornado sweep in my first match against Ben Hodgkinson. That not everyone can do, like, crazy inversions, but the rest of the stuff is pretty basic. I mean, it's
straightforward, meat and potatoes, grappling,
smash passing. You get past the guard, you take the guys back. I mean, it's not
And you
anything
showed the
incredibly
little
athletic.
details
Yeah.
of how these people that are going to be, because the guys you're going up against are way better than the guys that they're going to be facing in the gym. And you're going to talk about how you broke down their resistance. And this is something that anyone watching at home could say, oh, Billy does that to me.
Yeah.
I could break that down.
I'm not teaching double backflips out of single leg
Right.
defenses.
This
I'm
is
just
just
teaching
meat and potatoes type stuff.
fighting
Yeah.
the inside position.
Right.
You know, getting chest to chest, passing the guy's guard, taking his back.
There's only one leg
exposing
left.
limbs. Yeah.
Huh?
So.
No, man, that's awesome. Yeah, guys, so you just launched the instructions today, so if you go to bjjfanatics.com, it's already there. And yeah, thanks so much, Gordon.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it. Os.
Love you guys.
Os.